My name is Randall Callanan, and I represent the family of Anthony Ramos and Geraldine Ospina and their family, because at this Jack in the Box restaurant, they were almost murdered. You've seen the video of the drive-through employee throwing stuff, arguing with this family, this young family. You see her preparing the gun early in the argument. Like she pulls out her gun and you see her put it back in her pocket. So she was ready to shoot someone. And then she throws stuff at Mr. Ramos and the family. Geraldine was pregnant at the time with this young man. Their other daughter, who is 8 years old now and is at school, so cannot be here, she was in the back seat. There was a dog as well. And that's when Ms. Ford shot at them, possibly shooting to kill. You've seen the video. She's aiming, she's leaning. She's not just going up in the air trying to scare people. She's trying to kill them. And this is the people that Jack in the Box hired. Jack in the Box says we're not at fault. But this is a criminal court record prior to her being hired that says she pleads guilty to terroristic threat. This is public record in the Harris County Courthouse. I can look it up. Y'all can look it up. Anybody can look it up. Don't you do any review of a person before you let them interact with customers? This is a terroristic threat that she pled guilty to. And then she went through with the terroristic threat, in this instance, by trying to murder this family. Jack in the Box has not offered this family even the amount of money for the therapy sessions. I know that if I would have been almost murdered, it would bother me to this very day. And it bothers this young family to this very day. Mr. Ramos is a hard-working man. He used to live in Florida, but he goes where the work is, and that's why he was in Houston. And he just got done working a shutdown, where you got to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, to provide for the family. He's no gang member. None of these are people. This is a young family, just trying to get their family off the ground. Number 3 is on the way. And Jack in the Box doesn't care, because they hire people who have pled guilty to terroristic threat. So we're here today to get Jack in the Box to change their policies or change their supervision. Now, they may have a policy, but they have to implement those policies. It's one thing to have a policy and write something down on a piece of paper. It's another thing to supervise and to check. And apparently they didn't do that unless they are actually okay with hiring people who plead guilty to terroristic threat and have them interact with customers. Now, you see on the video that clerk was carrying the gun in her back pocket. And it looked like the people who worked there might have been able to see it, like, what's that in your back pocket? So did the manager know that this person had a gun? Did other people know that there were guns involved with their workers? We think so. So we're here today, once again, to get Jack in the Box to make their customers safe from people shooting them and killing them. If you have any questions for me before we get to some of the family members.
Describe the dispute, what it was over.
Okay, This was a dispute over curly fries. Jack in the Box is known for having tasty curly fries, and that's what Mr. Ramos said. His wife was from Florida at the time, and they don't have, I don't know if they have Jack in the Boxes over there, but she wasn't familiar with Jack in the Box. And Mr. Ramos said, hey, let's stop here for something to eat. They had just exited the plane, and you should try some of these curly fries because people like them. And Mr. Ramos said to his wife, you should try these curly fries because they're very tasty. And so when they didn't get the curly fries, they said, hey, we'd like the curly fries. That was one of the reasons they stopped there. It wasn't a small deal. It was one of the reasons why they stopped there. But they wouldn't give them the curly fries. And they had plenty of time to do it. They didn't say, oh, I'm sorry, we ran out of curly fries. They wouldn't give them to them. What kind of place, when you've spent $13 for a meal, then you can't switch out your regular fries for curly fries, even if they were incorrect? Right on the police report, this says this was an argument about French fries. So, if you have any other, further questions for me before we get to...
Sure, it's in the
Sure.
paperwork, but what date was this?
Let's see.
March 8th or March 1st? Oh, no, 2 years ago.
March 1st of 2021, and it was just recently that we finally received the video
From Jack in the Box,
which showed,
discovery process?
yes, the discovery process, which shows exactly what happened. Before we had their testimony and what they told us, but the video confirms pretty much exactly what they said happened, just the way that they happened. This worker was the aggressor. When the police showed up there, she initially said that Mr. Ramos fired at them, but Mr. Ramos was not arrested. When the police finally got through everything, they had arrested her for they had arrested her for assault with a deadly weapon, and the boyfriend had come over and apparently, according to the police report, had grabbed a weapon or something, and he got arrested also, I believe, for tampering with evidence. So, is there any other further questions for me?
I've not seen the video. Can you describe what the video shows?
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay. Well, the video is from the inside of the Jack in the Box, and it's sitting behind Miss Ford, like about 5 to 10 feet behind. So it shows her completely, as well as who's at the window, and then it shows Mr. Ramos pulling up with his family, and he gets his order, and then you can see that Mr. Ramos is saying, talking about the curly fries. Said, hey, we wanted the curly fries. That's one of the reasons we stopped there. And you can see her like not going to get any curly fries, not going to make any curly fries, just starting to argue with them, and she's doing all these hand gestures and so forth. And then eventually she walks back towards the camera, and you can see her pull a gun out of her back pocket. And I don't know exactly where she sets it, but it's like she's getting ready to shoot them. But she doesn't shoot them quite yet. And that's the premeditation. So then the manager comes up, and they're talking back and forth with Mr. Ramos and the family. And then Ms. Ford is there as well. And she's allowing this to escalate. The manager should have said, Ms. Ford, you go back there. I will take care of it. But it's almost like they're arguing together. And eventually, Ms. Ford throws twice. She throws, I think they're ketchup packets. You can see on the video they're ketchup packets. And then in response, Mr. Ramos tosses a food or a drink. And I think maybe a little bit of a portion gets on Ms. Ford here. Ms. Ford walks back, gets her gun out, comes forward, opens the window, and with the gun pointed, and when Mr. Ramos saw that, he took off. If he would have waited even one more second, he could have got shot. Maybe his wife would have been killed. Maybe this baby would not have been born. This young boy.
She pulled the trigger.
Yeah, fired. Yeah.
So there was a little back and forth. You threw a drink at it.
The back and forth was because I was. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The,
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay.
the back and forth was because I was asking for it, or for the French fries, but I even offered to pay him. I said, listen, I'll even keep what I have and I'll pay for the other ones, or I could just drive back around. She didn't want any part of it. She said we weren't going to get them, and that was it. So then I had asked her to speak to the manager. When she went to the back to go speak to the manager, and when she came back, she told me that the manager didn't have any time for us to just leave. So that's how I was asking, because we told her, listen, we're not going to go anywhere to speak to the manager because it's unacceptable. And then that's when the lady came from the back, and it really escalated.
And it was Ms. Ford who started throwing things. Was the first one to start.
Oh
throwing
yeah,
things.
she got me in the face with the ketchup packets.
Yeah.
Talk about how scary it was. That, you know,
Oh yeah,
had kids in
listen,
the car.
I had my daughter in the back of the car to worry about. I had my wife that she was pregnant at the time, and to me it was unacceptable. But as far as me being scared, I had to react as fast as I could. The moment I was able to drive off right over here is when it kind of fluttered me. You know, I got nervous, called the cops. Cops took forever to get here. And then when they finally arrived, for them to tell me that she was the one saying that I was the one that shot at her. And they didn't even take her to jail that day. That we had to sit there, we had to wait for the detective to call us and say, listen, we saw the video and, you know, she was apprehended.
And did you say anything that may have like made her mad, or was it just you kept trying to
She was already having a bad day from what I could tell, because she even said it in the video. She's like, I'm not having it. Well, not in the video. That day, she's like, I'm not having it today. And it's like, I understand you have problems, but that has nothing to do with me. You're working. Your job is to, you know, satisfy the customer.
She accused you of saying the N-word. Did you call her the
Never.
N-word? Don't you work with African American people?
Oh, every day.
How was this incident? How has this affected your life?
Oh, that job that I was working with, I was working for a job called Belfour at the time, and I came over here to help the state of Texas with the freeze that you guys had, to try to get all the churches and the libraries and the schools back to running again, fixing the pipes and and mitigating all the hazards. I didn't have to come. I did it because I wanted to come help. And for me to come and experience that after I came over here to help, it was, it was kind of disappointing to me at the time.
Have you been back to Jack in the Box?
Never again.
Is this your first time at a Jack in the Box?
This is my first time. Well, no, my mother's from Nederland, so I had been to Jack in the Box prior a couple of times. My aunt used to love the tacos. You know, she passed away. That's how I knew to come over here. It was late at night. It's one of the only things that are open, and she wanted to try the food.
What do you hope comes out of this lawsuit?
Listen, to be honest with you, I hope that, and for them to just take special more care of the people who they're hiring, because you're dealing with customer service. If you don't want to be in the industry of customer service because you don't like people, then find another profession. But if you take joy in working with other people and working to serve people, then I think you should take pride in that. And then they should pay more attention to the people that they're hiring to know that if they are customer friendly or not.
Has Jack in the Box reached out to you?
No.
Well, we're hopefully to get Jack in the Box to change their policy or to be more mindful of who they hire, so they don't hire people who have been convicted of terroristic threats. And then also, we are asking for compensation for their mental anguish and the therapy that they've had. That's correct.
I had to quit that job.
And you had to quit that job. So.
I quit that job after that. I said I wasn't going to be doing any more of that. So I was even out of a job for a while. Until I got something else.
Yeah. So if there's no more questions in English, we can go to Spanish. Okay. Have you done in English? Are we done in English?
Hey.
Can you, Mr. Anthony, can you kind of tell me, like, so after you went through the line, after this all happened, what was going on through your mind?
When I pulled off over here, my first thing was to call the cops. And then I actually circled around from here to about the highway and back maybe about 4 or 5 times before I stopped at the Hilton, and I said I'll just wait for the sirens. The whole time I had anxiety up the roof, because then I kept thinking, well, maybe she's seeing me doing the circles, waiting for the police. So scared, that's for sure. I mean, I just got shot at. So
was your car? Did it have any damage?
She missed. Yeah, if you watch the video, she stuck her head out. It was pointed right at me. I don't know how she didn't get me.
She was trying.
Yeah, that she tried. If you see the video, I didn't even realize that she tried so hard until I saw the video.
So what was the problem with the curly fries? They just didn't have them. They ran out.
She didn't give them to me. And then I offered to pay for them. I said, listen, I'll keep what I have here, and I'll get some more. I'll pay for it. And she just wasn't having it.
So they just refused to pay.
She gave me regular
price.
Yeah.
And, I had a question, but I think
I just have one question. You know how this looks, right? It looks like an argument with French. It's escalated to a gun.
Yeah, well, pretty much. It wasn't so much
Curly fries, not regular French fries.
Yeah,
Curly
it wasn't so much. It was the experience. Like, my wife had never been to the Jack in the Box, ever. So I told her, listen, it's the only thing that's open. It's really good. I like it. I like the tacos, and the curly fries are good because they taste like the Arby's one. So she goes, okay. And I remember asking for the fries because I had just spoke about them. So when I came and I asked for the stuff, and to me it was more of the principle of, hey, listen, I asked for something, I believe I should be getting that, especially if I paid for it. And then she just goes to me, how can I word this? She's like, I'm not going to give them to you. You already got your order. I said, no, I want what I ordered. It became more of a principle thing at that moment. It could have easily been resolved if she would have went and got the manager. We would have fixed the situation. I would have been on my way. But that situation never happened.
what took them so long to release the video?
It's just sometimes litigation goes slow. First of all, we didn't file the lawsuit immediately because you have to prepare the lawsuit. So even though this happened a little over 2 years ago, the lawsuit was filed about a year ago. Did you have any Spanish language questions? Unfortunado, mi español es no bueno.
Mine's all right, but it's not good enough to be on the news.
Did you say your wife can do it?
My wife can.
Over there in the shade. A Jack in the Box.
And I think she only did like a year in jail or something.
No, she didn't even do a year in jail. She did a year of being on probation. And she got deferred adjudication. It was an extremely light sentence. If you look at the video, most people, that qualifies for, it could even qualify for attempted capital murder because there was a kid in the car and there was also more than one person. Or at least attempted murder, but she was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Then that was reduced, then she got deferred adjudication. So that's very, very light treatment. Very light treatment.
Did she not have a previous record besides the terroristic threat?
You can look it up in the Harris County criminal record. I believe she might have had something else, but I don't want to be misquoted. But I think there was a couple other things. But you can go to the Harris County District Clerk's website and look it up.
Just to clarify, Don,
The four, right. This was on record, public record, where when Jack in the Box hired her, they could have went and looked and checked out with the Harris County, which is, that most of the people they probably hire are from Harris County, so that would be that's the most common place. When I get a client or I look at a witness and I want to look at their criminal record, the very first place I go, Harris County District Clerk's website, see what they've been charged with before. So apparently they want you to a little Spanish. The reporter's going to ask you a question or two, and if you could give it to them in Spanish. Okay, you want to get a little bit closer to the microphone? Go ahead with your...
¿Qué me acuerdo? El momento que yo recuerdo es que fue muy medioso para la vida mía y la vida de mis hijas, y cuando estaba embarazada en el momento yo pensé que íbamos a perder la vida por una persona que fue contratada de Jack in the Box y ya tenía historia de ella ser, ¿cuál es la palabra? Tener historia de tener arma, muy agresiva, y yo, por mi experiencia, nunca volveré para un Jack in the Box.
¿Ya fue tu primera vez?
Sí, mi primera vez. ¿Qué pasa por tu mente cuando escuchaste los disparos? Yo pensé que le dio a mi hija o le dio a mi esposo en el momento, pero no fue como un momento que esperaba.
¿Y ahora qué estás buscando para ti y para tu familia?
Bueno, que Jack in the Box sea responsable de lo que pasó y que para la próxima no contrate una persona que tenga violencia en armas.
En tus palabras, ¿no pudieras decir un poco sobre lo que pasó esa noche y por qué empezó el argumento?
Todo comenzó por unas papitas que ella no lo quiso dar. Y por ella no darnos papitas, nosotros no nos queríamos mover hasta que ella nos diera las papitas. Y todo comenzó que nosotros queríamos hablar con un manager y ella dijo que ella no iba a coger ningún manager. Cuando fue para atrás y volvió con una arma. Y ella tuvo la intención de dispararnos a mí, a mi esposo y a mi hija.
Can you kind of talk about what your family has had to go through? Can you kind of tell that you've been to therapy and it's really traumatizing?
Yeah, it's been very traumatized for me and my family. My daughter has been going to therapy just for that simple fact. You know, she said that it's a very shocking moment because it felt like a movie for her. She almost lost her mom and her dad, you know? And at the same time, to come to Texas for the first time and having good things about Jack in the Box, it's very disappointing because we were never expected to have, you know, somebody as a customer service represent Jack in the Box and cause us that experience. We have gone through a lot of shocking moments for that. All over for some curly fries.
What was going on through your mind? What was your reaction when y'all heard the gunshots?
Was to pull off right away. The moment we saw that she pulled out the gun, his mindset was to pull off right away to save me and my daughter's life, and obviously his life. It was a very scary moment. Somebody could have gotten hurt. We could have lost anybody's life over some curly fries.
What's that? Well, we saw one bullet fly, and I'll probably have to analyze the video a little bit more because it kind of looks like there might have been another shot, but not 100% for certain until I get an expert to look at it or we blow it up.
Ma'am, what's your first name?
Geraldine Ospina.
Can you spell that for us?
Yeah, Geraldine What was that? Aries Jacob Ramos. AriesRamos. You're welcome.
Are you going to ever visit another Jack in the Box?
No, never again. And honestly, from that experience, I don't think anybody should be going through that.
Yes.
Thank you.